Queen Ushla, Fáilte Rove, Quick Arton, Smock Alley. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Smock Alley Theatre and this evening's performance of Smock. Tour for Yara and Dorsala is Garage is booth the phone hope let home. Please observe the emergency exits, the door through which you came and the door to the back of the theatre, and please turn off all your mobile phones. This evening's performance will last approximately 50 minutes and will run straight through no interval. And a reminder that the bar will be open after the show if you want to have a drink in the foyer. Just a note also that this evening's performance will be filmed. Dorsala going to Tanmas and Leru. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the show.
So I'll begin with. What are you doing?
We want to tell the story.
I'm telling them.
You're just going to read it to them.
You want me to mime?
Might be an improvement. You're an actor.
Act it out.
I'll read it. You act it.
No, it's better if we all act it out.
Just give us a hand.
How are you going to show them that this was the first theatre built after the restoration of Charles II?
It wasn't. There were two royal theatres built in London at the same time.
Duke's Theatre.
They converted a tennis court.
Drury Lane.
Opened in another tennis court.
Where they built the nearby Drury Lane in 1663, so Smock was the first purpose-built theatre in these islands after the restoration of the monarchy.
So what? They don't want to know about that stuff anyway.
They need to know that this is the building. This wall. Touch it. The roof and the fittings may have changed, but it's the same building. 350 years.
They don't want dates and years.
They want to know what it was like, what kind of plays they had.
People came to shows here who'd seen Shakespeare's opening nights, who knew Shakespeare, actors, gossiping about his affairs back there in the green room, where they found their pipes and combs. This is real history!
There was a hole in the wall of the theatre where you could post a letter asking for your favourite show.
They performed in candlelight, huge candelabras everywhere.
And the very important people would wait until the last minute so they could make an entrance.
But the important stuff, the dates and the proper historical context, the political climate of the time. This is what made it all so important and so exciting.
I'll show you exciting. Charles I got too big for his boots, so Cromwell had his head cut off. But Cromwell and his lads weren't too popular, so they brought back the monarchy under Charles II.
You don't need to spell it out for them, they're not stupid.
Have you seen them?
Here, use the timbers to lift me. I'm Charles II.
You have been very helpful organising my coronation. How can I reward you?
It was nothing, Your Majesty. A pleasure to do it, Your Highness. I love your work, man.
Hang on a minute there, sir. Your Majesty, you know you were saying about helping you out and that. If there's anything we wanted.
And you are?
Ogilby, John Ogilby at Your Majesty's service. I helped organise the procession and wrote most of the speeches. I was wondering, sir, before all the troubles, I was master of the revels in Ireland, and I was just wondering if you'd be so kind.
Master of the Revels in Ireland. A handsome title. It's all yours.
All aboard, sailing for Dublin. What's wrong with you, sir?
I'm not a great traveller.
A bit seasick, are we, Jock?
No, it's not that.
Last call for Dublin! Boarding is closing for Dublin. Will the remaining passengers please make their way to the ship?
No need to shout.
There is actually. We won't have amplification for another 200 years or so.
You're frightened?
I just had a bad experience, that's all.
Oh, the Wuzzums. Got a bit of a dicky tummy, do we?
No.
Couldn't sleep because the bed kept moving.
No.
Missed your mother, was it?
No! The ship went down. Lost everything I had. Lucky to survive. Not everybody made it to shore. It's alright though, I'll be okay.
You've had an interesting life, so.
I have a feeling we will, though.
I was born outside Dundee. Daddy went to prison for debt, so I had to go into work. I won a lottery, freed my daddy, and was apprenticed to a dance master, but fell badly and was left with a limp. So I became the dance instructor to Thomas Wentworth. When he was sent to Ireland, I went along as the deputy master of the King's Revel and set up the new theatre on Werburgh Street. When the Irish Rebellion broke out in 1641, I joined the army and was nearly killed in a gunpowder explosion in Rathfarnham Castle. Made it to a boat but was shipwrecked. So I started translating Virgil, Aesop, the Iliad, and I got the public to pay subscription for the books. Married a wealthy widow, and when Wentworth was executed, I asked the king himself to be my patron. Then I helped with the coronation of his son, published a bestseller about it, and came to Ireland to set up the theatre. And the rest is history. Dear old dirty Dublin. Taxi!
Where to?
Smock Alley.
Never heard of it. Hey, Mixoff, Smock Alley.
Down by Blind Key. Mother Bungie's old place.
Ah, yeah, Orange Street, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Strange place for a gentleman like yourself to be going sore.
Billy.
Doesn't have the greatest reputation. Hence the new name, I suppose. Smock Alley. A bit like Garter Lane, if you know what I mean.
I catch up to it.
They found a guy dead there a while ago, and all the old buildings was torn down. You be part of the new wave, I suppose.
The what?
Gentrification, artists and actors and the like. Next thing you know, the rent will go through the roof. Here you are now. Shilling, please.
Are you having me on? 2 pence is all you're getting, and the receipt, please.
Ah, Jamie. We're trying to raise funds to build Smock Alley Theatre.
Right, lads. North, south, stage facing away from the river, and the lattice is here. Then the rest of the boxes. You'll need strong beams for the balconies. Set them up right there.
High strong.
Stronger than that, anyway. Shouldn't we be worried about subsidence?
If we last long enough to sink into the river, it'll be a miracle. That critic on the Dublin newsletter could sink us first. We open with Fletcher's wit without money. Now, we'll have to keep them entertained. So, I want jugglers, musicians, animals, anything we can do to keep them amused before the play starts and at the interval between scenes.
Sorry, Mr. Ogilvy. The actors want to know if they'll get paid.
Tell them it's a great opportunity for them to be seen and build a reputation. If the show works, they'll get paid. There'll be big London agents in every night.
Mr. Ogilvy, His Majesty's Lieutenant, James Butler, Duke of Ormond. I wanted a word with you about the content of your performances. This is a royal patent, so I'd ask to ensure nothing politically negative.
Don't you worry, Squire. None of your old rubbish here. All new stuff. We'll leave Shakespeare to the English. I want a new, original work. Irish plays for Irish people.
Well, perhaps some of Shakespeare's plays might help build a supportive atmosphere for the new king.
You want atmosphere? I'll give you Pompeii, the first professional production in the English-speaking world of a play by a woman writer, Mrs. Catherine Phillips, the matchless Orinda.
Delighted to meet your lordship. Tell me, what does a Lord Lieutenant do all day?
I'm building the largest enclosed park in the world for the people of Dublin, between Blanchestown and Chapel Served. Ormond Park. It will keep my name on people's lips for hundreds of years to come.
How wonderfully clever of you.
So tell me about your little play.
I can show you the script, your lordship. It's translated from the French, but it's greatly in support of the king, in much the same way that Pompey challenges Caesar. It could be seen as an allegory for...
Allegory? No way, Catherine. Pompey's going to be a musical. I'll write the songs myself.
By these leafy banks, the money we will raise to build right here in Smock Alley. A theatre so fine it'll stand the test of time, and the punters will flock to us gladly. You score the dances, and I'll do romances, and everything from magic to the tragic. Shakespeare and the classics we will play 3 times a week by the lovely leafy banks in Smock Alley.
Oh, wow!
Stop! You can't go stealing other people's songs like that.
But there's no copyright law. Besides, that hasn't even been written yet. What Sorry? Yeah. Christ, you're not serious. Hey, you, Ashbury, keep it going. I'll be back as soon as I can. It's 1665. There's a great fire in London, and my gaff is burning.
What happened?
It's 1671. The balconies in Smock have collapsed. They were making fun of the Presbyterians in the middle of Bartholomew Fair. Audience went wild. Next minute, Holock came down. Nearly killed the Lord Lieutenant's son. I don't understand. We were so careful in the construction.
Yeah, I know. Right so, Joseph Ashbury here, Deputy Master of the Rebels, reporting for a duty. The Battle of the Boyne had been won and lost, so it's time to get busy. Careful with those balconies. We need really good supports for them this time.
How big do you want them?
Bigger than that, anyway. Shouldn't we be worried about subsidence?
Worry about your lines, darling. You're Desdemona and we open in a week.
But I haven't acted before.
You'll be fine, lovely. There's nothing to it. I'll be Iago in an opening production. Othello. Let's hear that again.
It is the cause, yet I'll not shed her blood, nor scar the smoother skin of hers than snow, or smooth the monumental alabaster. Yet she must die, else she'll betray more men. Put out the lights, and
Oh, put out the lights, please! I need to get some people in. Actors, I mean.
I know some people. There's Booth and Quinn, and there's a sweet boy Farquhar. You'd love him.
I'll get Wilkes from London. He's good with young actors. And Price. He's a bit hot-tempered, but he's good.
Oh, bloody period.
Stop sniggering.
Get on with it.
Oh, bloody period.
All that spoke is marred.
I kissed thee ere I killed thee. No way but this, killing myself to die upon a kiss.
They love you! They love you!
Right, Mr. Price, tomorrow's show, Dryden's Indian Emperor, your Guillemot, Farquhar, your Vasquez, where we left off, couple act 5.
Right, Mrs. Butler. Friendship with him, who's handed out my kill. Base as he was my brother still. And since his blood has washed away his guilt, nature asks thou for that which thou hast spilt.
Oh, please stop, George, you're going to get hurt.
Kill not my honour to preserve my life. Rather than by thy aid I'll conquest gain. Without defence, I poorly shall be slain. Blood! Blood, you swine! You've got me!
What are you playing at? I told you to be careful.
I'm sorry, I just got carried away in the moment. Is he dead?
Shut up! You're an idiot, an awful actor, and a lousy swordsman. Give me a hand with him. He'll need a doctor.
What am I going to do, Mrs. Butler?
What can you do, George?
I've no idea. My family's already in despair of me. Bad enough I feel to follow my father to the church. My uncle, the bishop, sponsored me to Trinity where I got expelled. I take up acting, which is shameful in itself, and I find I'm not even competent at that. I do love the theatre, Mrs. Butler. What am I to do?
You write, don't you?
A little. Mr. Wilkes has encouraged me somewhat.
He knows what he's talking about. What's your play called?
It's a rather licentious piece called The Adventures of a Young Rake in Pursuit of Alcohol.
Really? I'll tell you what. You know I acted in London.
Wilkes said that you were the best of your profession but could earn no more than 40 shillings a week.
That's why I came to Dublin to work for Mr. Ashbury. Take my advice. Wilkes is a good friend of yours, isn't he? Ask him for your fare and go to London with your play. But think of a shorter title.
But long titles are very much in vogue.
Try Love in a Bottle.
Love in a Bottle.
But help me get him to a doctor first.
Are you guys okay?
It's the balconies that collapsed again. Several dead.
It was a judgment on them. Any good Christian knows this was due to a performance of a loose play. Mr. Shadwell's The Libertine, a satire on our Puritan neighbours.
I swear, I seen the candles burn blue and flicker out
A friend of mine says there was a dancer that nobody knew was seen 2 or 3 times during the performance.
And when he leapt in the air, you could see that he had a cloven foot.
'Twas the devil himself that was in it.
So it wasn't the support center.
All right, let's get to it then.
Right, Dad. Stage and pit clear. Boxes, lattices, orchestra loft clear. Just the middle and upper gallery to sort out. We need to make sure the timbers are strong enough so this doesn't happen again. Do you think subsidence might be a problem? With us being so close to the river.
Close to the river? The whole city is close to the river. Let's worry about what we put on. It's going to cost a pretty penny to fix all this.
Well, we can't be putting on muck like that again, Dad. We need new plays. Irish material for an Irish audience.
I know.
Groundbreaking, hard-hitting stuff.
I know. Original, relevant, issue-driven.
Plays by women.
I have the answer. Meet our new writer in residence, Charles Shadwell.
The writer of The Libertine. Well, that certainly brought the house down.
No, actually, his son. Famous for my adaptations of French farces into English with Irish settings.
But he's not even Irish.
But I am. I mean, my grandfather was. My uncle was in the Irish civil service. I'd be entitled to an Irish passport if there was such a thing.
He's a plagiarist, Dad, pretending to be a playwright. He doesn't have an original bone in his body.
That's a bit hard.
And she's not a woman.
A woman writing plays? Who's ever heard of such a thing?
I give up. Dad, tell me about when you talked Queen.
Oh, you're not sick of that old story.
Please, Daddy.
Okay. Well, when Queen Anne was still only a princess, she did a play with a lot of other important people. She played Samandra in Mithridates. When are we?
You mean what time is it, Mr. Ashbury?
No, I don't. I mean, what year is it, you idiot?
Go easy, Dad. It's 1713, and Thomas has a question for you.
Elrington, ask him to keep his voice down, would you? You can hear him all along Blind Quay.
Not the worst complaint in an actor.
I hope he's not going to ask for your hand, Francis. I wouldn't trust him to go to the shops for me.
Where would you care to be buried, Mr. Ashbury? That is, when your time comes.
St. Michan's, and the sooner the better if you're going to be around.
Behave yourselves!
Look after her, won't you? And I'd appreciate if you looked after the shop when I'm gone.
Of course, sir. I'll be honored. On both counts.
Can we do Peg Woffington now?
I want to tell her!
You can't tell it. You don't even know it.
I want to tell it.
I'm the only one who's read up on
But
it.
I'm the only one who's qualified to tell it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl. A poor little girl, and her daddy was dead. Her mother took in washing to put some food on the table, and little Peggy was sent out with a jug to get water to wash the baby.
Was there wolves?
Of course there wasn't wolves. This was just across the river on Ormond Quay. There's no wolves there. There's no wolves in the story, is there?
Oh, but there are! As she was walking along, a funny little lady was watching her. Hello, little girl, she said.
Don't talk to her, little girl. She's a wolf, and she'll gobble you up.
Be quiet now and listen, listen. She wasn't a wolf. She was Madame Violante. And she was a nice foreign lady who gave drama and singing lessons to children.
I went to drama and I was a zombie, but the teacher didn't die when I bit her. She just screamed her head off.
Signora Violante said, "You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." She taught her how to walk a tightrope. Imagine, high above the crowds.
Hey, you can see her neck.
Peg turned out to be a wonderful singer and dancer. She played Polly Peachum in the Beggar's Opera with all children in the cast, and it was such a success that they went to London, and everybody said the children were very good.
And was there wolves in London? And did they get gobbled up?
They didn't. They came home, and Peg was growing up now, and she had a small part in a play here in Smock Alley. And the woman who was playing Ophelia was sick, and Peg jumped up and said, I can do it, I can do it! And they let her play Ophelia, and like magic, a star was born.
Are there no more wolves at all in this story?
A nasty wolf, who was dressed in fine clothes, said he'd marry her when they got to London. But he didn't. He ran away with every penny she had. And Peg walked from theatre to theatre in London saying, I'm the famous Peg Woffington from Ireland, will you give me a job?
This is a very sad story.
And then they gave her a job in Drury Lane, and she was wonderful, and they all loved her.
And was there no more wolves?
There was a wolfish sort of fellow called David Garrick, a very famous actor. He promised to marry her too, and they came to Ireland to perform here in Smock Alley. And huge crowds came, and it was such a success that they toured everywhere.
And did they get married and live happily ever after? I hate when that happens.
They didn't. She lived all alone. But she sent money home to look after her mother and sister Polly and gave lots of money to charity.
And is that all there is in the story?
In the end, she got sick on stage one night, playing Rosalind in As You Like It. She had a stroke and was paralysed after. And though she lived for a few more years, she never acted again. And she died before her 40th birthday.
Wow. That's really old.
That's poppycock! You slandered the Garrick name and with no evidence whatsoever.
No evidence! I was there. You walked out on me.
You were never there to be walked out on, leaping from one bed to another.
Oh, you can stick it anywhere you like, but it's not so sweet when I've got a taste for it.
You were hysterical. When you weren't insatiable, you demeaned me.
You demeaned yourself. What about the ring you gave me?
You lost it. It's a wonder you remembered where your clothes were. Tell them about Mrs. Bellamy. Why did you stab her on stage? Madness. Jealousy.
Tell them who taught you everything you know. The new method, the new realism. Charlie McLaughlin from Donegal, Macklin to you. You wouldn't have got a walk on in a panto without him. Anyone who ever helped you got dumped. You even left your brother in the lurch when you got this smell of success. 2 sons of a French father, and they couldn't sell wine to Londoners.
You never did better than when we were together. Took Dublin by storm. They crammed in together so tight they all got sick. Remember!
What's going on? Is it a hanging or what?
I don't know.
She can see them in Stephen's Green anytime. Here, stop pushing.
Your one's home from England to do a show.
Get off! Jeepers, it's hot. Who's that?
It's the middle of August. What you expect? Woffington. Peg Woffington.
And where's it on?
Smock Alley.
But we're on Dame Street.
It's a queue. What is he like?
Do you not read? It's been in all the papers.
And Garrick is in it too. You know your man was here a few years ago. David Garrick. He's only gorgeous.
There must be hundreds ahead of you.
Then move up.
More. A fella ahead says he counted 2,000. He's playing Hamlet.
He can play whatever he likes with me. Do you know what I mean? Do you get me?
Oh, I think I'm gonna be sick.
They called it Garrick fever. The heat and the crowds meant they passed it to one another. That was the first time I gave my Hamlet. To be or not to be that. They loved me! I was famous in London, but I was never more caressed than I was in Dublin.
You were only the jockey. I was the horse. It was a pain carrying you, but I was their favourite.
Peggy! Peg, please, Peggy. Margaret, desist. Now, David, you too. Now, I insist, or I'll have you both thrown out. It's wonderful to have you back, but no fight.
Who are you?
Thomas Sheridan?
Ah, father to the more famous Richard Brinsley Sheridan, writer of The Rivals and The School for Scandal.
Yes. I took over from Ashbury after he left the place go to pot in the 30s. He was a decent chap. Brilliant actor. There wasn't a gentleman's house in Ireland, he affirmed, that he was not a welcome visitor.
You're telling the story again, will you get on with it?
Of course, but you two inspired me. I was only a boy when you gave your Hamlet, and immediately I dropped out of Trinity and began to act.
In, Dick the Shit, wasn't it?
I beg your pardon? Richard the Turd?
Cibber says you caused a riot over a costume.
Couldn't find your cloak, so went home.
He was an abomination. A constant goad. I was intemperate. Took myself off to London.
What's that awful racket?
1742. It's that bloody German knob making a racket again.
Not Knob. Handel, darling. Handel. He opens tomorrow at the Shamble Music Hall next door.
Subject to license. Breaks my heart. The critics will destroy him.
Close the window, dear.
You came to London, and we performed together in Drury Lane.
And you only took me on because I was packing out Covent Garden.
You weren't the first.
And you were a swine to do business with.
You're one to talk.
No wonder he were both managers. You could never keep an agreement.
I treated both of you well. Paid you to come home, and handsomely too.
You made it worth my while, all right. Tell them what happened with that bitch, Bellamy.
Now, Peg, don't be nasty.
Some drunk countryman, a Kelly from Galway, crossed the stage and chased Bellamy about the green
She
room.
never taught you using the door.
I'll make you my wife, yes, madam.
Get your filthy hands off me, you ruffian!
Unhand that woman!
I'm not finished yet.
You're finished now.
My hero.
Who are you to abuse a gentleman like that?
As good a gentleman as you, sir, or any other man in this house.
Did you hear that, lads? The cheek of him. A mere actor, and he calls himself a gentleman.
They tore the place apart.
But you went to court and won in the end.
Best thing that ever happened. Cut that sort of behaviour out of the theatre for good.
We had some status for the first time.
Cleared the stage of the audience, paid the actors properly.
Organised proper sets and set changes.
Gave the customers what they wanted.
New plays, Irish, original, plays by women!
Of course not. Lots of classics. And Shakespeare, they loved Shakespeare. Farquhar was Irish. The Beau Stratagem.
Sir Harry was my best
On the
part.
stage, darling, perhaps.
So, where did it all go wrong?
We were having a ball. You made me president of your club.
The Beefsteak Club! The natives were revolting.
Politics.
I banned it from the theatre.
You fool, you can't ban politics from the theatre. It's the only thing that keeps it going.
They hated you, didn't they? You and your arty friends. In type with the Lord Lieutenant, the moneyed mob, the civil servant, and the bankers.
It was a speech. They wanted to hear it repeated.
No actor in my company will repeat a speech to satisfy those Neanderthal groundlings. It happened during Tamburlaine, and that was 30 years ago. Apparently they tore the place apart. It won't happen again. We are not here to play to popular political whim. Play the part, play the play, and to hell with them.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, but my manager has required of us to make it a point of conscience not to be swayed by the audience on this matter.
You swine! I said no such thing!
He's only a shunny!
A Westbridge fool!
Cretin! Loyal scum! Go back to England! You coward!
Idiot. You call him
Go
swine.
on back to England!
You call him
yeah.
fool. Ready? 3. You use more left hand. 3, 2, 1, go! You fool! You crap! You're only a swine!
Coward!
You coward! You're a fool!
Send them out to us!
They wanted to go out to them, you coward!
Are you mad?
Hey!
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Mr. Sheridan has left the building.
Yay!
They ripped the place to shreds. At least it wasn't subsidence this time. We're trying to raise funds to rebuild Smock Alley Theatre. Could you help?
How's it going, love? Looking for Mr. Sheridan.
I'm afraid he's gone to London. I can get Mr. Victor for you, the manager, sir.
Tell him Spranger Barry wants to talk to.
Mr. Victor, a Spranger Barry for you.
Mr. Barry. Lovely to see you. What brings you here? I haven't seen you since you played Hotspur here. Must be 15 years ago.
That's right. Hotspur and Othello. Mark Anthony, Macbeth. This is where I served my apprenticeship under Mr. Sheridan. Oh, we had some nights.
You both knew how to enjoy yourselves.
Still do, Mr. Victor. Still do.
The old man's gone. Couldn't put up with the audience anymore. Nor they with him. They set up another theatre in Werber Street. You were involved then, weren't you? He told them it wouldn't work. You must have seen him in London, Mr. Barry. I hear you're doing very well. What brings you back?
Actually, Mr. Victor. This should explain it.
What does this mean? The Royal Paint is being transferred.
Yes, sir. I'm afraid Smock is no longer the Theatre Royal. That title will now attach to my new theatre in Crow Street.
This is where you started. The old man taught you everything.
Show business, baby. Times move on. Maybe the competition will help. I'll be putting on modern stuff, the kind of plays they go for in London.
Not if you're smart, you won't.
Where are you going?
Back to London. This town isn't big enough for 2 theatres. The old man always said so. And he's right. I thought you'd learn that lesson. You might get some heat for a few years, but it won't last.
Roll up, the greatest show on earth. In answer to the Merchant of Venice given so poorly by Smock Alley last fortnight, I am delighted to announce that the new Theatre Royal, Crow Street, will perform a scintillating production of the same play, starring Charles Macklin in his most famous role, Shylock, Jew of Venice, and myself, Spranger Barry as Antonio, with my son, Thomas Barry as Bassanio, and the beautiful Mrs. Dancer as Portia.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your delectation and delight tonight, the new management of Smock Alley Theatre give you the world-renowned Mrs. Georgianne Bellamy as Portia in The Merchant of Venice.
Ladies and gentlemen of Cork, I am delighted to announce that here in my new theatre, Oliver Plunkett Street, our company shall perform Shakespeare's Hamlet with myself in the title role.
In the absence of our neighbours on their flight to the country, we are delighted to announce that Smock Alley, the only theatre in Dublin performing this week, will have the Scottish play, with Mrs. Georgianne Bellamy as Lady Macbeth, the incomparable West Digges as Macduff, and myself, the greatly respected actor and manager Henry Mossop as Macbeth.
Gareth said I was the best lover he ever saw on stage. Did you know that? Did you? To celebrate our triumphant return to Dublin, the Theatre Royal Crow Street will perform. What are we performing?
The Merchant of Venice.
Again? Myself, the infamous Spranger Barry as Antonio, without my son Thomas. This is crap. Lovely voice. Crap.
Drink away, boys. Drink away. Want a load of money? You can have that too. In 5 years, I'll have the both of you. Tom Ryde is the name. They think I'm Irish, but they're wrong. A printer from Nottingham with some acting experience in the provinces. Changed my name, my nation, and my profession. And now they declare me the most general actor living for tragedy, comedy, opera, and farce. Spranger's given up. Retreated bankrupt to London, where he won't act for another 10 years. And Henry Mossop, sadder still, bankrupted and arrested in London, where he'd gone to hire actors for the 1771 season. He'd gone there to raise funds for a continental tour, but sadly died before he could make it home. I took over Smock Alley and premiered with Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer, the night before it opened in Crow Street. What's with the sword dealing?
Just looking for what you owe me, Tom.
I owe you nothing. I owe you work for me and I paid you, that's all.
But you borrowed, Tom, when the good days were over. To pay for your gambling. To pay for the poor choices you made.
The sunny days when they all went to the seaside instead. Pay for the confidence you could turn it all around. To pay for trying to whip up competition between the two places when you were better off just closing one.
And you do a better job here than I did. I'd like to see you try. Put the sword away, Richard.
I'll put the sword away when you hand me the deeds.
You're not going to kill me over a few pounds. My debts would die with me.
There are worse things than dying. I've survived 17 duels with pistol and sword. I could cut you up any way I like.
And you do a better job here than I did.
That wouldn't be too hard.
I'd like to see you try.
The deeds?
And you discharge all my debts.
Cheap. Half the price.
You're a gentleman.
Maybe not. One thing. Books.
With all due diligence,
Jesus.
God.
oh God!
Father Beta, to see you, Mr. Daly. Stay as you are, son. In the name of the
I
Father...
kick with the other foot.
No matter. Now, Richard.
I let it all go. More than 100 years of unique theatrical history in this place, and I drove it into the ground.
How did you manage that?
Pride, Father, and drink, and gambling, and quizzes.
Quizzes?
I invented them.
You couldn't
How
have.
much do you want to bet?
No. The truth is, I invented the word to win a bet, but no more.
And is that all?
Oh, Father, I got a child out of wedlock. At least one child.
Do you want me to give you absolution?
Yes, I do.
First, you must mend your ways.
I've already stopped drinking and gambling too.
And fornication?
I promise.
Bless you, my son.
Do you think, giving up all these things, I might live longer?
No, but it will feel longer. What's going to happen to the old place?
I sold it as a whiskey store. Truth told, that's all it's been through the last 3 owners.
Shame, for such a beautiful building. Let me see what I can do. We'd like to build a school and a new church for the parish. Could you help? Maybe you could just spare a few coins and it would help everybody in the local community and we'd all be there together now just for the school
Father
and
Peter,
the
you
church.
need to rest.
We have the schools built, Father Blake, but Mr. Taylor, the architect for the church, needs paying.
Diocese will look after that.
God helps those who help themselves. I have a meeting with the bishop tomorrow, and if we can show him how much we've raised, it'll force his hand. I've organised the tradesmen of the parish to collect from their fellows.
Bishop is already happy to have your church built.
Happy to build his church, not mine.
What difference, Father?
You've seen the churches we have in the city. Backlaying jobs. Poking, corner, out of the way places. It's time we made a stand.
You're subject to English rule. You can't go ringing bells in their face.
If we don't, who will? Our day has come. We've brought our people to school and educated them. They'll soon read our cowardice for what it is if we don't start ringing bells.
Rest. You must rest.
There's plenty of time to rest later. The bishop is expecting me.
He's not, Father. He sent me to tell you I'll be taking over your duties.
But my work isn't finished. I must talk to him.
Don't worry, I'll see to it. You must rest. Please rest. We're having a bell put in, just as you would want. Father Peter. Father Peter.
Blake, leave that bell alone. You have flagrantly disobeyed the king's statute by installing it. I'll have your new church closed if this continues.
Under the penal laws, Catholics have been excluded from public offices, from marrying Protestants, from owning a gun or joining the army, from membership of Parliament, from voting, from working in the law or judiciary, from going to school abroad or in Trinity.
Not just Catholics, but dissenters too, or Presbyterians if you prefer.
If they die, their states must be broken up into smaller and smaller pieces, unless they turn Protestant. And if they convert back, they lose everything.
That was the way, but most of these laws have already been repealed.
I can't own a horse valued at over £5 in case I'd organise a mounted rebellion.
And I'd remind you that all new Catholic churches, if permitted, are to be built out of wood, not stone, and away from the main road.
Catholics aren't even allowed to teach.
We must stop the spread of this papist idolatry.
No. My people will not be ground into silence anymore.
Don't you dare!
Do as you must.
You will be pleased to know that I have instituted proceedings in the King's Bench against you.
And you will be pleased to learn that I am here to defend that charge with every atom of my being.
And on what grounds, may I ask?
Allow my barrister to elaborate. Alderman Carlton, meet Daniel O'Connell.
Mr. Carlton, I'll see you in court.
Well, perhaps I was a bit hasty for the Blake.
He's Bishop Blake now. You'd best kiss his ring. You'll have to kneel first, Carlton. Do you mind?
It's above you now and ready to use.
It will ring for Catholic emancipation.
More than that, it'll ring for freedom.
After you. The Freedom Bell.
That's what it is. The Freedom Bell. Above your heads even now.
Bring out your dead.
Is Father me in a bit?
If he's not giving last rites, he's over in the workhouse, or else reading history books up in his library.
Mangan, Father, from Fishamble Street.
James Clarence Mangan, I've read your poems.
You have to help, Father. The cholera is back. It's worse than before.
I know. They were told that their houses had to be kept clean, that the water must be boiled.
But before the famine, sir, their mothers now don't remember that time.
What can I do?
You've already done so much. Maybe they'll listen to you. They're terrified. They're bringing their sick out to the sheds in Kilmainham, but it's so crowded there. The very air in the houses is corrupt. There are no coffins left.
You have the fever.
I think I might, Father.
You owe it to yourself and to them to remove yourself.
There's still so much to be done.
Leave that to me. But first we must take all the bedding out of the houses and burn it.
Corporal Daly, Dublin Fusiliers reporting for duty, sir!
Daly!
Yes, Daly, blind key, what's to you?
I think I knew your mother.
Do you ever shut up?
Over the top, lads! No, seriously, what age are you?
Get lost!
Go back! Keep your head down, Daly. Jerry's gone very quiet. He must be up to something.
I can't see their lines, sir. There's a green mist in the way.
Hold your position. I'll be back.
Keep the home fires burning.
A light northeasterly breeze wafted the strange green cloud towards us. And in a moment, death had us by the throat. One cannot blame the Dublin boys that broke and fled. In the gathering dark of that awful night, they fought with the terror, running blindly in the gas cloud, the slow poison of suffocation mantling their dark faces. Hundreds of them fell dying, froth upon their agonizing lips, and nausea tearing at their racked bodies. A slow, lingering death in unspeakable agony. What's going on, lads?
They have the GPO. Sackville Street's destroyed. You and them in the castle, but we have to be careful. You head up Cowes Lane, find a position there. I'll go by Fishamble Street.
Wait a minute. That's me brother, Paddy. Paddy, what the hell are you doing?
Get down! You shot your brother! You shot your brother!
Okay, hang on a minute. We are way off the point. This is the history of Smock Alley, not the wars Dubliners died in.
Look, guys, the Vikings are coming.
What?
They're turning it into a Viking centre. Hat. Hat.
Don't worry, it's only for a while. There's a better time coming. We'd like to raise funds to reinstate for Dublin, for Ireland and the world. Dublin's first theatre of 1662, Smock Alley Theatre.
Right, lads, east, west, parallel with the river.
Mr. Ogilvy, is that you?
Never heard of him. Now, you'll need to start with strong beams for the balconies.
How strong?
That should do fine. What are you doing? Building a theatre, or rebuilding one. The oldest, newest theatre in Ireland.
A theatre. This was Mick and Jack's. St. Michael and John's. The parish church.
I know, they closed it down in 1990.
Me dad was christened here. And me ma. And 7 of us kids all christened here. Over by the wall. That's where the font was. They were married here 60 years ago. You should have seen the pictures. His hair all slicked down with brill cream. It's back in fashion now. She wore green. They all said it was bad luck. All the others went away. America, England, you know. It's his birthday. And I thought I'd light a candle. He's buried out in Howth, but this is where, look,
Thank you.
look. I didn't mean to lay anything heavy on you. He loved the show. He would have loved this. I hope it goes well for you.
That's very kind of you.
So use actors, like professional actors.
Yes, that's what we are.
Lucky swine. Living the dream, what? When do you open?
Any day now.
You'll come. Tell your friends.
I will, yeah? I will.
Well then, we'll have to keep them entertained. So, I want a new, original work.
Dealing with the big issues.
Plays by women.
Irish plays for Irish people.
Sorry, boss. The actors want to know if they'll get paid.
Tell them it's a great opportunity for them to be seen and build a reputation. And they'll get paid too.
By these liffey banks, the money we will raise to build right here in Smock Alley. A theatre so fine it will stand the test of time, and the punters will flock to us gladly. You score the dances and I'll do romances, and everything from magic to the tragic. Shakespeare and the classics we will play 3 times a week by the lovely liffey banks in Smock Alley.